Well, gentlemen, I think today we should take a peek and discuss the very popular project that we're working on in Edmonton here. A lot of the investors that we work with would probably reference or look at this as an ADU unit. We call these more of a tertiary or garage suite. As zoning changes and trying to look at different ways to add additional income suites, bringing down that cost per door value and adding, again, a really high income generating tertiary suite to a home. Yeah, we got a cool kind of video tour of one. So why don't we jump into that? And yeah, then we can just chit chat a little bit about some of the unique features of it.
Yeah, what's really unique about this is actually when you take a look at the actual exterior of the garage suite or ADU, it looks like its own duplex or detached unit. It's absolutely stunning. It looks so nice, has really nice curb appeal. Take a look at this. I love the way that it sits above the garage. You get a little bit more natural light upstairs. And there are certain tenants that, they like basement suites, but they like the apartment feeling of a garage suite. Drew, I think you've had some experience with some of these in the past. What do you think?
I love the garage suite idea in general because for one reason, like for me, it's all about flexibility. Now, with this big move to working from home, it's not just investors that are looking at these products anymore. It's homeowners that are looking for multi-generational living with separate areas, not just the traditional basement suite, upper suite. Now you've got an additional building on the property that can house a family, or you can use it as an office. You can use it as a mortgage helper. There's so many good things that you can use this garage suite for, this ADU for. Um, I like it as well because of like I said, the separateness between the two buildings. I think that's really important for tenant retention. You don't get that potential sound transfer that people are worried about. That, quite honestly, with the new construction, we don't really worry about too much because there's so much insulation and sound resistance between. But this just adds an extra level. And anytime you don't have tenants and owners, or tenants crossing paths, it's better.
Absolutely. And like what's really good with the layout too, like we've been doing this for a number of years now. We've really maximized the space. So the video I think does a good job of showing it, but it's really something you got to see in person. They really utilize every corner of space to really maximize it. Stainless steel appliances throughout, really high end finishes. It's like a really nice loft kind of experience. And they're not really easy to add after the fact, like with different financing and mortgage restrictions. The easiest time to do them is actually right at the new construction phase where we can just package that in. It's much easier, build it right into your mortgage, and like you were saying, become a mortgage helper. So I really like doing it now versus doing it later. It is still possible to do it later, but I've run into a little bit more resistance doing it that way.
It's nice to have that option for that redevelopment as well down the road on existing properties, as a lot of the zoning and permitting will now allow for that. But I do agree that the new construction from the ground up, as opposed to a tear down of an old garage, making sure that it's built correctly, is a big undertaking. And when we're looking at cost efficiency, it is easier to have it included in that kind of pre-construction or purpose-built new construction opportunity. So, yeah, from the exterior accessibility to it, with the video kind of outline, there's a separate entrance to the utility room from the garage, so it's all independent from each other. Which again, Drew, to your point, you're eliminating a lot of that crossing of paths between tenants. When we're looking at kind of that comparable of the income, you'll generally yield a higher rent on a garage suite as opposed to the basement suite within a home. The natural light is a huge component where you have windows at the front and the back, so you get a lot of that kind of openness of that feeling. And Kev, to your point as well, like the layout, utilizing that space to have a designated bedroom actually kind of changes that from the that bachelor suite or that loft where it's a little bit more that open feel, but it's nice to have some separation while not minimizing or feeling like you're inside of a box.
Absolutely. That's a
It's
good way to put it.
it's a continuation of the same standard of what we call like a specification or feature inclusion with the other pre-construction projects, where we're looking at kind of that high durability and low maintenance finish on the inside. Most of the garage suites that we would look at adding in part of that new construction do not have any carpet. You're looking at vinyl plank flooring, but again, just keeping with that really that high durability, low maintenance finish, which for an investor is great because as you see it, the product should last a little bit longer without needing replacement costs. But then for the tenant also, it's a little bit easier living of that or easier lifestyle within that home. So
Absolutely. And like what's cool about this is most investors, they want that big building with a bunch of tenants in there, a bunch of doors, but we're giving you that same experience, but with more separation of the units. It's multiple single family homes in a row. So there's separation right there. Yes, there's a suite in the basement. So there's that one actual spot where there could be any kind of noise transfer, which is very minimal nowadays anyways. But now we're spreading that over a bunch of lots, and it just makes things, you're owning a lot more land actually than that one building. And land always goes up in value no matter what over the long run. There's only so much, earth here, and it tends to go up even when times are slow, times are hot, it speeds up. But I really like the fact that you're going to own more land, have more doors on that land, but not necessarily more sound on those lots, if that makes sense. So a little bit more separation. You have the suite above the garage that's completely separate from the two-story home, and then you have multiple two-story homes that don't share a wall with each other. So it's really the best of both worlds, where you're getting more doors but less sound transfer, and I really, really like that.
And the one thing you kind of touched on without actually saying was scalability. You can buy one of these, you can buy three of these, you can buy five, you can buy the whole block if you want, and really scale that business to whatever you want or whatever you're capable of handling. That's the one thing I love about this.
which case in point, and a term that I don't know if our team has necessarily coined, but hybrid multifamily is a great way to scale these kinds of projects to find the best financing terms. So we've talked a lot about MLI Select program and how you can use this style of financing to well, for lack of a better term, scale these projects to larger number of doors. One of the other things that we haven't talked about too is even just dealing with vacancy, and that's one where now having those three separate income generating suites with that ADU being added above the garage, it is something now that dealing with vacancy becomes a little bit more easier to stomach with three separate income generating suites per title or per lot. So yeah, just a nice added bonus there as well.
And when we talk about bonuses, the best thing about this is if you called a builder right now and tried to do something like this and get that many lots in a row, first of all, that's really difficult. But two, they're going to ask for 25 or 30% down. With our offerings, you only need 10% at condition removal to build a multifamily building to get things going. So it really ties in well with that MLI Select financing with the lower money in, but also the builder is going to finance 90% of the deal of the build, and you just have to come up with the funds for closing. So I really like that aspect of it too.
Definitely. Well, no, it'll be exciting to see where these opportunities lead into the future on just how we can look at helping the investors scale, to the best of their needs, what they're looking for. So whether that is a single titled home with the three income generating suites, and as Drew mentioned too, I think some of the projects we've done up to 12 in a row. So when you're looking at kind of the scalability of adding doors at a lower cost per door, this has been a really beneficial way for investors to do that.